Electoral Court slaps MK parties Visvin, Reddy and Bonginkosi Khanyile with 150,000 rand fines for anarchy comments. The Electoral Court has fined the Umkhonto weSizwe MKP party Visvin, Reddy and Bonginkosi Khanyile 150,000 rand each, suspending the order for 5 years for threatening anarchy, violence and riot ahead of the May 29th elections. Reddy, who is now an MP for the MKP, and former MK Youth League leader Khanyile, made the comments in March amidst an air of nervousness about the registration of the MKP. The court found the two guilty of contravening the Electoral Court for threatening to disrupt the elections. The 2024 national and provincial elections were held on May 29th. The matter gained attention after the Electoral Commission of South Africa (IEC) embarked on a legal challenge against Khanyile and Reddy's inflammatory statements about the commission. This was after the IEC said Zuma would not be disqualified from running for the presidency due to his 15-month sentence in prison. Reddy and Khanyile made public statements threatening chaos and rioting in the event that the MKP was not registered and declaring that there would be no national elections in the event that party leader Jacob Zuma was taken off the ballot. We are sending a loud and clear message that if these courts, which are sometimes captured, try to stop the MK, there will be anarchy in this country. There will be riots that have never been seen in this country. There will be no election. No South African will go to the polls if MK is not on the ballot, said Reddy at the time. In other gatherings of the MK, Reddy said, "Hear me very carefully. This country will be turned into civil war the day MK is not allowed to campaign and to be on the ballot paper. No one will vote." Khanyile said all hell would break loose if Zuma and MKP were not allowed on the ballot paper come election day in May. If they remove the MKP and President Zuma from the ballot as the face of the campaign and try to take our rights, there won't be elections in South Africa, he said. Following the probe, the IEC had asked the court to impose a 200,000 rand fine. The Electoral Court, through Judge Esther Steyn, concluded that Reddy had broken certain provisions in Electoral Act. Steyn said that although there was no doubt that Reddy's statements conveyed a serious threat of violence as well as intimidation at the time, the accused had attempted to apologize for his error. Steyn said serious threats of violence and administration were communicated by means of Section 87, 1 and 2 of the Electoral Act, which forbids, among other things, and anyone from interfering with the independence or impartiality of the IEC and preventing a person from exercising their right to vote. The intimidation was aimed at citizens not to vote. Moreover, these uttered threats also interfered with the Commission's work, especially the independence of the Commission, Steyn said. Steyn was also lenient on Khanyile, said that his party had already punished him by removing him from his position. In my view, having considered the various factors, imposing a maximum penalty of 200,000 rand would be disproportionate given the fact Mr. Khanyile has already been punished by the MKP by removing him from his position as its youth leader, she said. The 5-year suspension of the punitive action is contingent upon the respondents abstaining from the violation of applicable Act sections and refraining from making any remarks intended to sabotage any electoral processes in that period. Two MK party strongmen lash out at captured courts after judgment. The two Umkhonto weSizwe party MKP strongmen Bonginkosi, Khanyile and Visvin Reddy have come out guns blazing, accusing the court of being captured following the Electoral Court EC R150,000 fine suspended for 5 years against them. This stemmed from the pair being found guilty of inciting violence following their scathing public utterances ahead the May 29th elections, where they threatened there would be anarchy in the country if the MKP or its leader, former President Jacob Zuma, were barred from contesting the watershed elections. Speaking to the Daily News after Wednesday's judgment, Khanyile said, "I'm not surprised by the judgment. Our courts are captured by the current administration led by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The courts are on a witch hunt to torment and frustrate all the people who support former President Jacob Zuma." Despite lashing out at the justice system, Bonginkosi stressed that he was a law-abiding citizen. "I respect the law because, in matters of disputes, it becomes the final arbiter. I'm a law-abiding citizen," he said, adding that he would not appeal the ruling because I don't have time to play. The Electoral Court had set in motion its wheels of justice against Khanyile and Reddy after complaints were lodged with the specialist court that the pair had contravened the Electoral Act over remarks they made in March. In the ruling, the court found that this was in contravention of Section 87, subsection 1 and 2 of the Electoral Act, which prohibits, among others, anyone from interfering with the independence of Electoral Commission of SA, IEC, and preventing a person from exercising their right to vote. Khanyile, a former Fees Must Fall activist, is also a former leader of the youth wing organizations of Julius Malema's Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, and Gayton Mackenzie's Patriotic Alliance, PA. After unceremoniously being expelled from the PA last year, he threw his weight behind the MKP in January. The sanction is suspended for 5 years with the condition that both Khanyile and Reddy do not contravene the relevant sections of the Act for 5 years. Further, the court warned them against making statements that undermine any electoral processes during the same period. While Khanyile did not pull his punches, his co-accused Reddy said, "I acknowledge the court's judgment, which found that I contravened Section 87, subsection 1A, B, and C, and 87, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act 73 of 1988. It has taken a long time for this matter to be finalized." He added that this section was politically motivated, as some were determined to remove him from the parliamentary list. He said they also sought a fine of 200,000 rand and a public apology, none for which were granted by the court. Reddy said he was consulting with his legal team as he was considering appealing the ruling. MKP party vows to lodge fresh case of vote rigging in Durban, following its abrupt decision to pull the plug on its vote rigging court case. The Umkhonto weSizwe party MKP has vowed its legal battle with the Electoral Commission of SAIEC was far from over. The party, led by Israel President Jacob Zuma, says it would launch a fresh court bid soon after combing through the new evidence. The MKP has been alleging that the May 29th elections were rigged, claiming more than 9.3 million votes were unaccounted for. In an interview with the Daily News after withdrawing the case on Wednesday, MKP spokesperson Dlamulo Ndlela claimed that they uncovered new evidence that proved the election was littered with irregularities. The fact remains that the elections were rigged to the detriment of the MKP. We can't disclose the new evidence we have now until we take the matter back to court again, he said. In an earlier statement, Ndlela had said the MKP has now gained further evidence of election irregularities and vote rigging. We have, however, also been advised by our legal counsel that there are procedural and technical issues that will be further brought to the fore to present such evidence before the application can be adjudicated upon by a new application to set aside the election results and the declaration thereof by the IEC. The statement added, in light of the above mentioned, the MKP will be filing a new court case with the necessary courts as a matter of urgency. A letter from the MKP's attorneys, JG and Xulu Incorporated, to the Electoral Court said that the withdrawal of the case was in no way an admission that our client does not have a compelling case for the order it seeks. The contrary is true. It added, the experts that we have engaged continue to uncover further evidence of election irregularities that are so serious that it would be reckless to risk the application being dismissed on the basis of IEC's technicalities. Given these circumstances and to further ensure that all the evidence in the possession of the MKP is presented before the court in a manner that enables a fair adjudication of the matter, we have been advised that the application should be withdrawn for now. In light of the above mentioned, MKP will be filing a new court case with the necessary courts as a matter of urgency. The MKP would not be drawn into commenting as to when the party was likely to lodge a case against the IEC and the other respondents, which included the initial papers, President Cyril Ramaphosa. The MKP, launched in September last year and endorsed by Zuma in December, raked in 58 seats in the National Assembly, becoming the official opposition against the political parties that have banded together under the ANC-led government of national unity. In KZN, the MKP's strongest base of support, the party managed 37 seats in the provincial legislature with 80 seats. Alleging that the votes were rigged, the 58 MKP MPs initially boycotted the first sitting of the National Assembly but made an about-turn last week and joined the rest of the 400 MPs. The MKP has another separate court case where it is fitting to nullify the election of KZN Premier Tami Ntuli, Speaker of the Provincial Legislature Nontembe Koboisi, and her deputy Mmabato Tembe. The MKP's Dr. Kwazi Mbatwa, former Zuma's advisor during his presidential tenure, told the Daily News that the election of the trio was marred by irregularities. The chairperson of the non-profit organization Real Democracy also joined in the legal fight, opening a separate case over the alleged irregularities during the first sitting of the provincial legislature. The IEC has repeatedly refuted the allegations made by the MKP. And that's it from Injibs Network. Stay tuned to our celebrity and gossip news.